Anything? I'm not seeing anything yet.
You're up.
I'm up. I'm not seeing anything. Hi, guys. There we go. Oh my God, I'm lagging.
You can't look at yourself there. It'll confuse you.
I'm not.
Only look at the comments there.
Only look at the comments. I'm only looking at the comments, guys. Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Oh yeah, everybody's. I've got tea. It's back here. It's directly behind me, so I'm probably gonna spill it all over myself when I try to get it. Yes. So how's everybody? I see. Oh, Jen. I already said hi to Jen and Erica, and I see Jamie's here. We have 7 whole people. This room is rocking. This is. And today's topic is okay. Lisa's been telling me like crazy. She was this her idea. She put a poop on the camera.
Because you gotta look at the poop.
Because she doesn't want me to look at her. We're trying a new thing. We're trying a new thing. And she's over there with my computer and hers. And I'm over here with my tablet.
So I can push all the buttons.
So she can push all the buttons, and we're hoping that she pushes all the buttons in a way that doesn't completely mess me up. So we'll go for that.
I have a command center. It's amazing.
She has a command center. It's like cool. Anyway, so today's topic is Bigfoot. Just wait and see. I'm doing it. I'm still looking. Hi, honey. I'm just going to talk to you.
Look at the poop.
I'm going to talk to the poop. I'm going to talk to the poop and ignore the human being that's over there. So, yeah, last week we talked about UFOs. Actually, we talked about the Roswell incident. Last week was the Roswell incident, which is kind of a specific thing in the whole UFO thing. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about UFOs more than once. Bigfoot, we're probably going to talk about Bigfoot more than once too, because one of the interesting things that I looked up last night, well, not last night, I've been looking stuff up all week, but I looked up some stuff. You put this way, way, way far away. There we go. One of the things that we were looking up, and we actually we were watching a documentary last night from a guy who's in BC here, who basically goes around looking for Bigfoot, and he's got like tons of video footage showing faces, like showing close-ups of faces, and they're blinking, like they're looking around, they're blinking. It's like, it's really, and he actually launched a lawsuit in the province of BC to have Sasquatch recognized and protected as an endangered species. Was it endangered species? Was it endangered species that he said, honey? I'm going to get so used to talking to the poop that I'm not going to be able to talk to her at all unless she's got like a piece of poop.
I'll just smack you with the poop if I want you to pay attention to me.
Bigfoot was so evil. Huh. Some of the stuff that we looked at was more, well, actually, you know what? No, some of the conspiracy theories about Bigfoot, I think I'm getting something. My voice is so quiet today. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm usually yelling at the camera, and today I'm not. I don't know why. Something's wrong with me.
You project well. You're fine. Monica has a question.
Yes, Bigfoot and Sasquatch are the same thing. We also found that there is skunk ape, stink ape. There is other people claim that Yeti and Bigfoot are the same thing, just different areas. There's a really cool video I'm going to show you that's regarding the Chinese Bigfoot is called the Yeren, Yeren. The Russian Bigfoot is, what did we say? What did we find out that they called the Russian Bigfoot?
I'm not sure.
But there's a story about a Russian Bigfoot that had its own name in Russian. There are literally reports of a unknown hominid globally. Yeah, Momo. What was the other one? Yeah, the Missouri. They call. I didn't hear. I've heard Momo, but I didn't know that that's what it was. Yeah, skunk apes are mostly in Florida, but there's sightings. There are literally sightings all over the continental U.S., all over Canada. Northern Canada is just, you can't go to Northern Canada without hearing about them. It's crazy stuff. Oh wait, Donna came in. Did Donna come in? Somebody else I'm not saying hello to? Hey, my chat's not moving.
You might have to refresh it.
My chat's not moving. Oh my gosh.
Jamie says 1 hour from her is the only Bigfoot trap that's been around since the 70s.
I just screwed up.
Did you hear me? Jamie says 1 hour for me is the only Bigfoot trap that's been around since the 70s.
A Bigfoot trap?
Yeah.
Cool. I am trying to get my thing to, there it is. Okay. Yeah, that's working, but the chat's not working for some reason. I don't know why. Sorry, guys, my chat's not working properly. And it's not letting me refresh the screen.
Hand me the tablet. Here.
You take the tablet. She's going to take the tablet and fix it. She's going to reach. She's reaching, and it's fun to watch. Okay, so basically, I'm just going to get on my groove, because once I start yelling, I get interesting. It's fun that way. It's really fun how that works for me. So basically, there are as many names for Sasquatch as there are areas where people report seeing them. So Yeti is basically the Himalayan Sasquatch, and that's always Abominable Snowman. Donna says Momo. There we go. Yes, you're here. I see you now. My chat literally wasn't moving. I was like, oh, everybody's being pretty quiet. Okay, they're waiting to get caught up. Yeah, Harry and the Hendersons. Here's the thing. It's like there's no way that we're gonna find a Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. I think now there's a couple of really interesting things that Lisa's gonna be putting. And now my oh, I don't need to do that, do I?
No.
Okay.
Well, it might help you see the highlighted comments though. So if you play it,
I think I need to put it back on play. I think that's my problem. Sorry, guys. Okay, we're okay. This is my second video ever, and we're still trying to figure out what's going to be the easiest and most convenient for us to do this, because Lisa's sticking around to help, which is fine. Lisa's here on Sundays. Lisa's here, so basically she's helping and she's here, and everybody knows that. So anybody new that's coming in and doesn't know this, second video ever. We're still trying to figure out what's the best way to put this together to manage the tech in the background, so that we can just relax and have fun. One of the reasons why Lisa's over there doing this is because one of the things that she's going to pop up for you is the most famous Bigfoot footage of all. Do you have that one ready to go? You don't have to wait the second, but
the original video, yeah.
The one of the very first videos on Bigfoot. And that one, I'm covering off to the side now in case things happen on the screen. I got to go back over here.
Let me know when you want it up, babe.
Yeah, big teddy bears. Yeah, I don't think we're going to find Bigfoot or big teddy bears. I think we're probably going to find that they're big, angry gorillas. But, yeah, the Gimlin film. Lisa's just getting that queued up now. There it is.
Are you ready for it now?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one here is the Gimlin Patterson film. And this was one of the most famous bits of Sasquatch footage. We actually went through it and watched it. And just last night, okay, let me back up. We'll just run the footage and get that going. But one of the things that happened, this footage comes up. These guys were Bigfoot hunters. It's what they were it's one of the things that they were looking for, because they were guys who worked in the bush and they heard stories and saw footprints. They finally got some footage. So the guys get the footage, they come back, it gets public, it goes crazy, and that's fine. Everything's fine. And then about 20 years later, I think it was about 20 years later, I'd have to look up the things. Suddenly all these guys are dropping out of the woodwork and saying, oh, no, it's a hoax. I did this. Oh, it's a hoax. I did that. Oh, there was a gorilla suit. I was the guy wearing the suit. Problem is that there was like 3 or 4 different guys who claimed that they were wearing the gorilla suit. There were so many people that claimed that they were making Bigfoot tracks. It's like, oh, okay, you guys claim you make Bigfoot tracks, but how are you making Bigfoot tracks that go on for miles? So basically, the people that were making all of these claims are just as likely to have been claiming it was a hoax to get their own 5 minutes of fame, because the video itself was so famous. And most of these people that claimed to have falsified evidence and falsified these videos and whatever, like the guy who claimed that he was wearing this suits like that didn't exist. There was nothing there's nothing that would exist that wouldn't look like a costume. And the costume that he described himself as wearing just doesn't fit what's going on. So are you playing it still, hon?
No, I had to restart it.
Oh no, she's restarting it. Ah!
We're getting there. Give me 2 seconds.
She's getting there.
It should be good now.
Oh, she's buffering.
Is it actually going now?
Yeah, that's like what Tammy Pie said. I believe that they're just another species that have been able to hide well. Honestly, I think that's all it is. Do you know what? The mountain gorilla in Africa was only known from a few samples of stool. Let's make it about the poop, guys. The African gorilla natives reported it. And of course, well, natives don't know nothing because they only have lived there for thousands of years. They don't know anything. So the legitimate people were not believing what they just thought it was native folklore, native mythology, and ignored it. Very little evidence, very little this, very little that. I mean, until they actually discovered one. They did not, nobody believed that gorillas existed until they actually brought a dead specimen out of the bush and said, look what we found. So all of the evidence that we have for Bigfoot, it's just, nobody's going to believe it until they pull a live one out of the bush. But there it is. I got it up. Oh, there we go. There are stories that hunters have shot these guys and been so confused about whether or not that they're human, have been afraid of prosecution and just noped out of it and just said, I am not taking this to the authorities, because if it turns out to be human, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life.
I'm doing my job really badly.
Lisa's doing her job really badly.
So badly. Let's try this one. There we go.
There is a Jen the Middle-Aged Baby Witch. Apparently, Bigfoot sightings almost always come along with some sort of light and UFO activity. They're supposed to be interdimensional travelers. This is a really interesting theory that doesn't make a lot of sense. One of the things about UFO activity is a lot of UFO activity that gets noticed and reported happens in areas that are sparsely populated. I'm in Vancouver. There could be 6 UFOs parked right above the city right now, and nobody would give it a second thought because they would just think it was traffic helicopters. I was telling this to Lisa just the other day. It's like if there's a UFO here, we're not gonna care. We've got so much light pollution that we can't see much. We can't see much anyway. Something's happening. So I don't know. I don't know what I think about that. I think it's much more reasonable to assume that it's a hominid, or an advanced primate, that we just haven't been able to catch one. It's still not going, is it?
No, it's already played. You're good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just worry about the comments. I got it playing.
Yeah, Erica says that I've heard about those sightings too. I don't think people always see the lights, but it is common. I mean, I think what you'll find, like if you're outside of the city limits and you look up, things are so much brighter. You can actually see the track of the Milky Way splitting down the sky, and you can't see that if you live in town. I think we just see things differently I think a lot of the stuff that is there, we just notice it differently depending on where you happen to be. But so anyway, all these people are coming out of the woodwork saying this is a hoax. And yet the things that they're saying that they used to make the tracks couldn't have possibly made the tracks that they're claiming to have made. One guy literally held up, yes, honey.
I'm sorry.
She's not even going to type. She's just going to hold her hand up.
Do you want to have that video up and comment on the video, or did you just want to show it to people?
What, the Gimlin video?
Yeah, because I can bring it up if you want to speak to it, and I can let you know when it starts playing. But you're lagged, so you're not going to know when.
Oh, I'm completely lagged, guys. So yeah, did you guys see the video? Okay. Because there's a couple of things near the very end of the video, if Lisa can find that spot.
I'll put it up again, yeah.
And this was a really interesting point that I was watching on a documentary just last night. The way humans walk with their feet low to the ground, because of the way our feet flex. Our feet can only move in certain positions when we're walking, and we don't have, and that's why we can be walking down the sidewalk and trip over a 1/4-inch piece of curb. Whereas this animal, yeah, I'm watching it go now. Something happened. Click the play button. Okay, this animal, it stopped.
I was trying to pause it where.
So see how high up its foot is coming behind its leg? Humans don't walk that way. And this is little things that they've been investigating now that it's been around for so long. More serious investigators. My opinion is basically a lot of these scientists who are interested in it have now started to retire, and now they don't need to worry about their reputation quite so much. So they're investigating these things privately because they don't have to care anymore. But this is one of the things I saw last night where they were talking about the way that it's moving. Humans don't walk like that. But there's a really interesting thing that I'll be showing you in a bit that really, really, really backs up my personal opinion, my favorite opinion, and that is that we already have all the evidence that they exist. We're just refusing to believe it. But yeah, Time Nexus is in. Who else came in? A whole bunch of people are in. I got 15 people here. Yeah. From Northern California all the way through turns out, oh, hey, I forgot to ask you to bring out Quachi.
Oh, I was gonna do that too because I just saw it.
Do you know what the mascot was for the 2010 Olympic Winter Games in Canada? A Sasquatch. It was Sasquatch. Turns out that Harrison Hot Springs, which is a place that we'll drive up there just for the sake of a day trip to get ice cream, is like ground zero for Sasquatch activity in BC.
He's been on my videos before.
Yeah, this guy. This is Lisa's
Personal
Sasquatch. She got Lisa. She got Squatchy as a little gift to herself during the Olympics when we were living in Vancouver at the time. But yeah, there have been reports of Sasquatch being captured. There have been reports of Sasquatch being killed, and every single time, without fail, they just get told that it's nothing. It's a deformed something. It's a deformed bear. It's a deformed human being. It's a problem, but it's not.
Throws him.
I threw it. I'm done with him. I'm done with this guy. So this was the Winter Olympics mascot in BC. That's how well known Sasquatch is. So yeah, she loves her Quatchy. Oh yeah, time nexus. And since there's literally millions of species we haven't found yet, the ocean and Amazon alone, absolutely. We are okay in BC here. The Lower Mainland has got like the Lower Mainland is like a whole bunch of cities, blah 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 blah, and there's got to be a couple million people, but the rest of BC is practically empty. It's like you've got a province. That's probably bigger than the UK, and people are only living in like less than 5% of the area. There's things out there that we just haven't discovered yet, and there's a guy that, and I'll try to link his video. Honestly, I'll be absolutely honest. The guy is he sounds like a bit of a douche. He really does. He sounds like a
great word, babe.
Oh, douche canoe? Is that better?
No, just don't use any of those.
This guy sounds like a bit of a problem child, but he's got all this footage that is like, he's got all this amazing footage, and nobody really wants to take him seriously because he is a relatively unpleasant guy. So yeah, if only they were actually that cute. Yeah, and Donna also said that they see all kinds of stuff out where they are too. Like my dad is from like it's called basically Ontario's got like the near north where you're still close enough to get to the. So Ontario kind of goes in this weird shape. And anyway, the near north is like this one region, and then you go further up and it's the north. And there's areas up in when you go through the northern areas of Canada all the way through from coast to coast, there are entire regions bigger than some countries where there are literally no humans living there. So if you've got a wild tribe of proto-humans or Neanderthals, and I've got a pet theory I'll go on about in a minute. Oh, Dustin's here. Hi, Dustin. Hi, everybody else. I know people are kind of wandering in. So, but yeah, so Sasquatch is like everywhere. There are reportings from Florida all the way through this, I mean every state in the U.S. We're not just talking, oh, it's only in Florida or it's only in these regions. But the less populated the region is, the more likely you are to start hearing about these reports, and the more likely you are to be hearing reports of people who say, oh yeah, I see them all the time. I just don't tell anybody because I don't want them to think I'm crazy. And that is the single biggest thing that keeps people from reporting them. But the interesting thing, we forgot to save that one link.
Which one?
The one from Washington State about the military protocols. Remember that one?
I'll look it up.
The military thing. In like the 70s, in Washington State, they literally released information to, oh yeah, blah blah. If you're on an exercise, if you're on a training exercise in the woods and get separated from your group, here's things to look out for, blah blah blah. Here's how to behave if you see a bear, if you see a fox, if you see a Bigfoot. Do you remember that?
I'm not interested.
That it wasn't super intense. Oh, hi, Shadow Moon Rich and Mimi. Ooh, for the Peggy wisdom. Peggy is not wisdom. Peggy is his mouthy.
Is that big?
I can't see anything.
Look at your screen.
Yes. I'm trying to click it. So this is
Let's see if I can just get the image open.
Yeah, this is reported sightings in Washington State, but in the 70s, but there's like Lisa's from Washington, so I actually am allowed to look at her right now. There's Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines with bases in various areas in Washington State. Are there not? So there's lots of bases everywhere, and they were actually releasing to their soldiers what to do guides if they see a Bigfoot. But they're not real. So anyway, yeah, Mimi just moved to the Pacific Northwest. Honestly, I'll tell you right now, I'm from Ontario, and there's sightings there too. There is sightings. There are Bigfoot sightings all over North America. The question is whether or not people are going to like tell anybody. The biggest issue isn't with these sightings; it's with the ridicule that comes with them. So nobody wants to speak up. But yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna look over at her now. It's a little nuts, the stuff that's going on. Like, I mean, Lisa never really heard much about Washington until we were just researching this last week.
No, I used to hear tons about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you said then. Yeah. I misunderstood. I wasn't listening to my wife. What else is new?
What else is new?
I said that already because you didn't listen to me.
It's better when I say it.
Is that how it goes? Okay. So, theories. So what's everybody's theories? Come on, I want to hear some theories. I got theories that I'm going to be mouthing off about them. All kinds of. But I have a pet theory on something that I sort of kind of believe. I don't know if I should get right to it or not. I give everybody else a chance. Yeah, okay, Donna's got one. My husband's or my Donna Ozark Oracle is Donna. My husband's best friend claims to have seen a Bigfoot back in the early 80s. This is a man I don't question. He's simply not the type to make shit up, and he was afraid to go out alone quite a while after. And that's what happens. I mean, my dad has never said that he saw one or anything like that, but he said he's known guys who have. And he just kind of said, well, yeah. And then that was the end of this. Like, he was never one to talk much about stuff like that. So, well, actually he was, but he wasn't. He loved watching this sort of stuff, but he would never go, oh, I know a guy, blah, blah, blah. He didn't talk like that much. And he just very matter-of-factly said, oh yeah, like, I mean, there's lots of guys I grew up with that saw stuff. So yeah, there's no way that there's not something. There's no way there's not something in those woods. We didn't even believe that gorillas existed until one was hauled out of the bush. We didn't believe orangutans existed. Yeah, I think there's some kind of a primate. I think they might be a very specific primate, but we have got no reason not to believe in their existence. The unfortunate problem is that most of the reports come with reports that they show signs of human or near human intelligence, and that's why we don't want them to be real. I mean, honestly, that's my belief. That's what I think anyway. But oh, I'm sorry. I'm just stopping to read things, guys. I don't want to miss anything, but we're set up in such a way that it's hard for me to read stuff. So it's like I'm just gonna sit here going, yeah. As if I need like a semi-evil mustache to twirl or something, because I'm just doing this. My hands are really dry, so. I love the idea that they're interdimensional beings, but I think it's a lot more realistic that they're just real creatures we haven't properly discovered yet. And I think that's exactly what it is. Do you guys remember back in the, oh my God, the $6 Million Man? Do you guys remember that TV show? In the $6 Million Man, one of the storylines that they ran with for a season was that, oh, what the fuck was it? Yeah, anyway, I forget what the guy's name was. I'm allowed to swear. It's my channel.
Stop looking at me. I'm not looking at you.
$6 Million Man, and he's got all the bionics and whatever. He's like the world's original bionicle, right? So he discovers a Bigfoot and discovers that the Bigfoot is actually an intelligent alien species, and they fly the UFOs. And so now he's trying to keep this tribe of lost aliens safe from scientists. And it was a really fucked up storyline, and it was all about how they're not from Earth. They're not from Earth. They're trapped here trying to get home again, kind of like the original E.T. Go Home, only they're Bigfoot Go Home. The theories that came out, the theories that have come out are absolutely insane. Part of it's because you can't get anybody to investigate it seriously. So everybody's going, why the hell not? Why are you not going out to discover this new animal unless there's something so fucking strange here that we're not going to ever, that the rest of the world is going to lose their fucking minds if we ever find one. But yeah, I remember that. Dustin needs to be blocked, people. I'm not that old. Anyway. So what was the other one? What was the other one that we had lined up? So I can't look at the thing now, so I'm kind of screwed. Okay.
I put a Bigfoot crossing picture up just for fun.
You're mean. Show them. Okay, there is. Let's wait. What if Sasquatch formed a band, called themselves ZZ Top, and recorded songs about legs? Exactly. That would make a lot of sense. Can you grab that one of the Gigantopithecus? This is one of my pet theories. Okay, so there is a giant gorilla called a Gigantopithecus blackie, and that's what it's called. It is a giant gorilla that, when it raises up on its hind feet, is about like 8 to 12 feet tall. They were a prehistoric. They survived about 12 million years ago and finally went extinct about 100,000 years ago. So this is a picture of a Gigantopithecus that's beside a normal human-sized man. Okay, but this is where things get fucked up, Donna. Okay, so Gigantopithecus, a giant gorilla that roamed all over the place. They speculate that genetically is okay, don't forget, primates and humans are all within the same genetic family, and then we all diverged all over the place. So it's a unique divergence of its own. But okay, go to the next. Do you remember do you have the next one? Okay, go to the next one. I'm just waiting. So this is, yeah, there it is. That is what they found. This is what they found. So they have everything else about the size, and okay, they know that this thing was huge. That they found a massive jaw. They know based on general primate physiology that this thing was about as big as the first picture shows. But everything else about its appearance, from whether or not it stood upright, to the length of its arms, to the shape of whether or not it had like a large brain or a small brain, is pure scientific speculation. So can we go back to the other one now? So if you take,
back up for real time.
I'm sorry, I'm just waiting. So you take that one jaw, and that's what they got, and that's what they decided that one jaw looked like. So they've got a few pieces. Dustin's causing trouble. Okay, so basically, they take this entire thing based on one jaw, and I think they found a toe. I forget what else they found. They've got next to nothing, and they're saying, "Oh, well, it came from this the genetics say it comes from this family, so this is what it has to look like." Except for we know for a fact. Okay, look at the difference between. Okay, now we should have gotten the picture to this. If you look at the difference between a regular chimpanzee, and they do have long arms, and a spider monkey. A spider monkey, when it's standing upright, can touch the floor, and a chimp can't. Even though it's got long arms, it doesn't quite reach the ground. So you take this exact same thing and you extrapolate that, well, what if you have this same gorilla-like creature, but it's got shorter, more human-looking arms and can stand upright? And now you've got something that matches most descriptions of a Bigfoot, which is, and all it is to recognize that over the course of the 12 million years that they speculate that this creature has existed, that it managed to evolve, which we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for evolution. So this makes no sense to me. So they may actually have fossil evidence of a Bigfoot and are just simply refusing to acknowledge that it's a Bigfoot because, oh no, well, there's humans and everything else looks like a monkey. And we already talk incessantly. We talk incessantly about a missing link, and it's crazy. I don't know. What do you guys
talk about the feet? Will you talk about the feet?
The feet.
I've got some castings.
Okay. The feet. Lisa wants me to talk about the feet. Okay, so but what do you guys think about this? Like, I mean, science is taking only a very few number of bones and extrapolating a very specific animal without any further evidence to prove that animal. And yet, if you were to take a human and look at just our jaws, you would not necessarily extrapolate that we look the way they do, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, hi, Molly. So, don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I love nothing more than to mouth off about my opinions, but I also like to find out what other people think, because I think a lot of people that are on the there must be a Bigfoot are definitely all about the idea. Oh, that's okay. That's back to a different theory.
Do you want me to bring this up now or later?
No, it's fine. I can stay there. So I think that a lot of the evidence already exists that there are more than one type of either a proto-human or an evolved primate, missing link type things. I think there's all kinds of evidence of that sort of shit, and we just got scientists, because if you guys remember, when I was a kid, about a bazillion years ago, the idea that dinosaurs could have feathers, there was not one reputable scientist that would be willing to state that, because it would destroy their reputation and their career. And yet now we know, because we've gotten further and better fossil evidence, that dinosaurs, for the most part, most of them had some form of proto-feathers. So, I mean, I think that's just, yeah. How much? Yeah, Jen, the middle-aged baby witch. I don't know enough about that science to know if it's possible for them to get that much from just a jaw. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to get that much from a jaw, because you're reaching back over like 20 million years of evolution and claiming that this is what it must have looked like, and it can never have evolved or changed or grown or developed. And yet we wouldn't exist if it weren't for evolution, growth, change, and development. So why can't, and we know that some primates are more upright than others in their activity. We know that some primates have very short arms comparatively to others. Like I mentioned, a spider monkey, if it stands upright, can pretty much still touch the floor, whereas regular chimps and gorillas can't. If they stand up, they can't go straight down to the floor. They can go like
their hands.
No, if because like you got a dog, right? The arms and legs are basically the same length. So if it stands up, it's not going to be able to reach all the way down, even though gorillas and monkeys have long arms.
Yeah, I was just clarifying if you meant arms or not.
Yeah. What Dustin say? It's just like that giant skeletons that they have the mainstream scientists refuse to acknowledge exist. Exactly. Honestly, my personal opinion on some of those giant skeletons is I think part of the problem with those giant skeletons, I think some of them are not quite human, and that could be back to a Sasquatch link. It's like if science keeps saying, oh, we have no skeletal remains to prove that Sasquatch exists, but then every time they find a giant skeleton, they pretend it's not real. Oh, that can't be real. It's got to be a hoax. So every time a giant skeleton turns up, it's a hoax. So any possibility of giant-sized humans is completely off the table. Any possibility that Sasquatch could be real is now also off the table, because they won't even look at these bones. They just call them a hoax and walk away. It's crazy. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely crazy that they can't. Oh, wait, people are talking and I'm missing stuff. I got to stop doing this, because I'm just going to stop and start watching things. And I had to watch back the last one just to read some of the comments that I missed. It's fun, but yeah. So if I'm missing stuff and you really want me to see it, just type it out in all caps or something. Lisa has her hand up.
I want you to talk about the Bigfoot tracks. I have the comparison with the fake one.
Okay, Lisa. Okay, one of the guys, and we'll reach back to that Gimlin video. One of the guys that stepped forward and said, I made all those tracks. I made all the tracks that people have been finding up and down the entire West Coast and in Canada for the last 30 years. I made all those tracks. So from this photo, what you're seeing is on the left is a wooden carving that this guy made. And he said that this was he made a pair of feet that looked like this.
He made one. Or no, he made a pair.
No, he made a pair. He made a pair of feet out of wood that looked like this and stomped around all up and down the coast. It's like, now how he found the time and the money to do that much traveling just to leave marks in the woods so that somebody might find a few of them is beyond me. That's a little bit crazy right there. Dan Rather and a few other big names in journalism actually did exposés talking to this guy. Oh, well, we've now finally solved the Bigfoot problem, except if you look at this photo, you'll see that
every other foot is the fake one.
Yeah, every other foot is the fake foot. So every foot, so you have fake, real, fake, real, fake, real. None of them match. Not one of those prints matches the fake foot. And
I also brought up the crippled foot. Do you want to see it?
oh, and there's one which really caught Lisa's attention. There's one. Did you find the crippled foot?
Yeah.
Lisa's going to bring this one up. There's one that was examined by a professional, and these guys are like really high-end biology geeks. This one here is a casting, and they found more than one. This is just one of the better castings of a pair of feet from the same spot, and the left foot is crippled. But the interesting thing about this is that the protrusions on the side of the foot is not where the protrusions would be if the foot were human.
Because that heel bone is elongated in these castings. In humans, or in, like, if it would fake.
Yeah, can you guys hear Lisa okay?
Yeah, basically, sorry, I'm just going to shout for a second.
Lisa's going to shout.
What's me about this, because I'm an anatomy nerd, is that basically, based on these castings and the bony landmark protrusions, it doesn't make sense that somebody would fake this, because it literally shows a potential deformity, that could come about from the increased weight and stuff like that is on these particular feet, but also the elongated heel bone, which is, they were able to decide or to figure out that it had to be elongated because of those two protrusions on the left of the deformed foot are further forward than they should be of like a human foot, or like a fake, anybody faking a foot basically wouldn't know to put those further forward to accommodate the new structure. Anyways, I'm explaining it bad.
Okay, does that make sense, guys? Basically what Lisa is explaining is that if a human being, the foot on the left is obviously either a natural born deformity or an injury, and we don't know what. And that those two protrusions that are on the left-hand side of it, basically those two protrusions on the left-hand side of it, if it were a human foot, and unless a person with a degree, a medical sciences degree, focusing on the anatomy of the foot, like, I mean, the person who studied this and realized that it couldn't possibly be depicting a human foot was an expert in this field, in these fields of PhDs in medical biology and all this crap.
They basically said you couldn't fake this because you wouldn't know to fake it.
You wouldn't, unless
this way.
The level of expertise that it takes to understand this particular type of anatomy, especially don't forget, at the time that this was made, because this was back in like the 80s. Medical knowledge at the time. So let's stop there. We're not, MRIs didn't even really exist back then. So this particular thing, if this had been a hoax, the person doing the hoax would not have put those two bumps near the front. They would have put them near the back by the heel, because that's how a human foot is designed. They would have no reason to put them anywhere else. But this foot and the tracing of the bones that they put over top basically matches an almost simian foot. So yeah, time nexus. I know, on my days off, I travel along the whole of the West Coast. Yeah, and it was crazy. Whole of the West Coast, perpetuating scientifically driven species hoaxes. Here's the thing: the level of expertise that you would need, like, who straps on a pair of wooden feet, stomps into the ground enough to make it look like. Now, don't forget, the depth of a footprint can kind of tell you how heavy the thing making the footprint was. So unless you're like going stomp, you literally got to stomp the shit out of the same spot to create a depth impression, which is not going to look like a footprint when you're done, and then move on to the next one and do this for miles. There was one area, and I never saw it. We don't forget, for every one piece of thing that you find that makes a lot of sense, you're gonna have to filter through like 20 videos that are just pure crap. I don't want to call it all pure crap, but sometimes it is. Hoaxes, not so hoaxy. So the one scientific dude said, yeah, that they went on this one. They got a call saying, hey, there's a whole bunch of that stuff that you're looking for with the footprints. Come out here right now, and they found over 500. Who is going to? Do you know how much? I got a bad knee. I can tell you right now. If you're going stomp to create a depth impression to make it look like you weigh 800 pounds. You're going to the hospital after you do that 500 times. You will hurt yourself before you will make an impression that looks like you, like, so a 200-pound person goes boop, and if you just keep stomping, you can make it look like you weigh 800 pounds. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, but they're coming across areas where these go on for miles. They're following something as it walks along for miles. You can't do that for miles. Or like a beach area where it looks like maybe there's like several different, the one beach area that they found, a little sandy beach on a river, right? they found like 500 tracks of various sizes. All of them look like they were like, for some reason, Sasquatch has been universally described as being very heavy for its size. And the funny thing is a gorilla is very heavy for its size because they are incredibly muscular and very little body fat. So they could be the same size as us. Don't forget, like, if you have a 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot cube and you fill it full of fat, it's going to weigh about 3 to 5 pounds. If you have a 1 foot by 1 foot cube and fill it full of muscle and bone and nothing else, you're going to have a thing that weighs 20 pounds, because muscle weighs about 5 times. I think I got that number wrong. Muscle weighs a lot more than fat. So that's why a relatively small dog can be fairly heavy. And so that's, I don't have a hope of explaining this one very well. But anyway, muscle weighs more than fat. So an 8 foot tall, solid muscle, zero body fat creature can easily weigh 700 or 800 pounds, especially if it's really, really stocky to begin with. The guys that, Time Next is similar to those guys that claim they faked the crop circles in England. It took a lot of freaking work for them just to show the one how it's done. There's no way they've had time to do them all. There's no way they have time for that kind of traveling. There's no way that they have time for that. And Jamie Kelly says it's not going to be a super. Doing the stomp. It's not going to be a super good impression. You're going to because you literally have to have a machine precision, and there'd be signs of machinery. There's anyway. So these guys are claiming that they've done this, and maybe a few have. I mean, and I know there's like, there used to be a business in some area. There used to be this one area, and they had a bit of a business. They would find footprints, take a cast, and then sell the cast, but never quite be able to show you where they got it from. Stuff like that. Sure, that's problem. Yeah, the distance between the prints would indicate the length of the stride, and nobody can match it. Like, so you got to get a guy that's 8 feet tall, willing to wear these Bigfoot things, and then stomp to make himself look like he weighs 2 to 3 times what he weighs. And they've already proven human beings, once they reach 8 feet tall, generally, and I know there's the NBA, so I'm not gonna, but the average person, when an average regular person gets the conditions that cause them to have extreme height, they also generally tend to have physical disabilities that prevent them from moving properly in the first place. So videos of these 8 foot tall things going through the bush and walking normally, I mean, unless you're hiring NBA players and then putting them on stilts, you're not going to get the same results. It's just not possible to get the results. Anyway, distance between prints is tissue and bone density and can vary in humans. But like a 6 foot tall gorilla weighs, because if a gorilla rears up, right? If a gorilla stands up, they can be like 5'5" to 6 feet tall, and they generally, like a full grown male gorilla generally tends to weigh about 400 pounds. And yet, if you've ever been to the zoo and seen a gorilla, they don't look that big. They are big, but they don't look 400 to 500 pounds big, because they're just muscle. They have fat, but not the way we do. Anyway, what was that other one I was going to show them? I like showing you guys stuff. This is fun. Country. Okay. So so let's just go straight to woo-woo land.
I like woo-woo land.
Now, well, this is a really interesting one. So, it's just the food source thing. You don't hear people have claimed to have, Molly says, have children, have juvenile Bigfoot children been seen? And the answer is yes. A lot of people see, like, not everybody, if you're off hunting for the weekend with the boys, you're not necessarily going to carry around the kind of camera that can. So there's been lots of people that have said that Gimlin photo was a female. And when they examined it, they could see by the chest that it was female. So they've talked about babies. They've talked about infants. There's one of something at a trail cam that we saw. There's been more than one reports of the females carrying young with them, but nobody ever believes it. These photos show up and nobody believes them. That's just the end of that. Here's one, and of course, now the Chinese government. This happened in China. It was called a Yeren, Yeren. this is probably going to blow your minds a little bit. The Chinese government actually investigated it and sent troops in to see if they could corroborate the reports. But do you have that one ready?
Yep.
Okay. This guy his mother went missing. And apparently now the villagers say she was gone for months. She came back. She disappeared into the bush. She came back a few months later and she was pregnant, claiming that she had been kidnapped and raped by a Yeren, a Chinese Bigfoot. This is the child that she had. When anybody who's ever tried to talk to her about it, all she says is, leave me alone. She doesn't want to talk about it. She came out of the woods, said this is what happened, and just got on with her life. This is in Chinese, so we didn't bother with any thing. It's onto some guy talking now.
I'm working on it.
And Lisa's going to try and get to one of the ones that show him clearly. So basically, when you see this guy, I just need one that shows the one that shows him walking around is probably the best one to look at, because we saw we looked up a whole bunch of other stuff that discusses this case. It's like if this person is a crossbreed, here's why we can say it's some guy going Sasquatch Chronicles podcast episode 603 has a guy who's had several Bigfoot encounters. He goes with the intention of communicating with them, never to record footage, so he has no proof. But he said he thinks he's seen adolescents. A lot of the people that are seriously looking for this stuff, that they keep, I keep seeing it. Okay, so this guy,
it keeps going back to the dude talking. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
It's just the video that we have, right?
Yeah. If you go back about how, yeah, if you can go right to there. Just waiting for Lisa. Well, Lisa's clicking the right buttons. I'm just waiting for the thing. So basically, the Chinese government heard about this, went out and talked to the woman, took some video. She doesn't even want the attention. She's like, just leave me alone. But here's the thing, is that in China, having a disabled child is a very, it's family embarrassment. It's embarrassing. I don't know how else. Okay, yeah, stop there. Ah, no. Okay, there, stop there. If you can get it where he's
like, so
I'm sorry.
Stop is not
one of the ones where he's just coming down around that rock, and if he's more upright.
Okay.
Because several of the features, okay, the interesting thing about this guy's really interesting, because if this woman is telling the truth, and of course nobody's going to believe her, so this guy is really tall. He's got a very small head. He's got the back of the head is very, very small, which is microcephaly, but microcephaly generally results in very small stature overall. I don't know a lot about the condition as a condition, but it's almost unheard of for human children with small, like the mental and intellectual delays are common, but the size because of the smaller brain, there's also smaller growth, smaller lack of development. They don't. It's my understanding that they don't generally live to be adults. So this guy is an adult male. If you can tell, if you look at it in this area here, he's got like no neck, which is what Sasquatch is reported to be. No neck. Very, very tall. The shoulders are up. The head is forward. Is a little forward, which is something that's reported. But this woman's claiming that she. So when you see him here, what you see is a very large face, and this is something that you see in gorilla skulls, and other primate skulls. Is a smaller set. It's smaller in the back, but a larger face because of their diet. So the people that did see this guy, when he apparently he's since passed away. The people that did see, you can see in this one how he's got the forward jaw. The facial structure does not match what is apparent. And again, if I'm wrong, and please let me know. But the facial structure does not meet the cranial structure for what's common in microcephaly, which is the condition where the brain just doesn't grow. So yeah, that's what they're comparing him to. And that is why the Chinese government decided to go ahead and take a look at there's any urine out there. Urine. I keep saying urine, and that sounds like a completely different problem. Anyway. So, yeah, so this guy should, if this guy is a generally disabled child, he shouldn't look the way he looks, which sounds really, 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 really weird to say it. And I was trying to find out more about this guy, but this is really all that's there. It's a Chinese language video. It's Chinese scientists that are talking about it. I don't understand Chinese, so I have no idea what they were saying. But anyway, this is like, yeah, this is one of the things that I'm like, I think Bigfoot's real. I think Bigfoot is 100% real. I think that we have, okay, 100, 200,000 years ago, we had humans, Neanderthals, probably Cro-Magnon. We had Denisovian. We have had so many different near human species that were competing with humans in terms of intelligence, in terms of capacity, ability. We've got so much of that shit going on. There's absolutely no reason why they can't have survived till today. We've got, because here's another thing. When I was a kid, the idea that human beings carried Neanderthal DNA was just simply unheard of. And now they've proven that, especially in Northern Europe, Northern Europeans carry up to 4% Neanderthal DNA. Asian people carry a similar percentage of Denisovian DNA, which the Denisovians have only been identified by like a single fucking finger joint. We have no idea what they look like. And there is some evidence that the natives that came over here from China and Mongolia and wherever Bering Land Bridge, during the last ice age, human beings come over and migrate and come over here, right? But there's evidence that the native population, so they come over here and they begin to diverge and become native North Americans. But there is evidence that they have also crossbred with something that hasn't been identified yet. And there's stories that go back hundreds of years in almost every native culture in the North America and South America of other humanoid species. What am I missing? Oh yeah. The stories, they're from everywhere. These stories are for Donna says, the fact that there's sightings and stories from all of these other continents is telling. There are stories from almost every continent. And where are orangutans from again? Indonesia. Before orangutans were officially identified and discovered, the Indonesian people called them wild men of the forest because they looked human. And don't forget, most primates have a social structure that on the surface looks a lot like, almost like tribes.
Comment there, babe.
Oh, I think skeptics often oh my God. I think skeptics often struggle with thinking Bigfoot might exist because they believe if they are only apes, they should have been found by now. But what if they're actually intelligent? And I do think that you're going to find that if we can discover every single species of animal, vegetable, or mineral that looks and acts vaguely human, because even chimpanzees, they have a social structure, they have hierarchy, they operate in groups. You don't just leave your chimp family and go join the other one, because you have to, like, they run in packs, right? Almost like tribes. I think you're going to find, I think we're terrified. I think we are terrified of finding Bigfoot, because if they have any level of intelligence that approaches Neanderthal, that approaches no longer an animal, that we don't know what we're going to do with it. We're terrified of finding it because we have no idea what we're going to, because we can't ethically, it's a form of human life, or it's a form of intelligent life on par with humans. We can't just examine it. We can't just, there is, and this is conspiracy theory land, there are reports of people, soldiers, hunters, there are reports of people shooting these things and being so terrified, and they look so human that they are terrified of going. I think I started this, but I think I said that at the beginning. Did I not already say this, or was this something I said to you earlier this afternoon, honey? Did I already say this, guys?
It doesn't matter. Say it anyway.
They were so there are stories saying, "Oh, I shot one and killed it, but then I got up close and it looked so human. I was terrified of being prosecuted for murder." Because people that claim to have actually been in a position to pull one out of the woods are terrified of going to jail. I have no yeah, Molly says, I don't think we're terrified. I think we do what we do with everything else: oppress, enslave, kill them. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think we've reached this. I think that's what would have happened in the 50s. I think if they'd have pulled a Sasquatch out of the woods in the 50s, they'd have had absolutely no point. Hey, let's see if we can make them into super soldiers, and let's see if we can teach them to do this. But the whole Planet of the Apes, like, let's just go fucking crazy with that. I think that's exactly what would have happened. I think now the ethical dilemma is, just because it's not quite, because we have an ethical dilemma now over primates, and we have an ethical dilemma over whales and dolphins, because both have demonstrated levels of intelligence above what we assume is normal for an animal. What?
Check your comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. She tells me to look up, and then she tells me to look down. I actually do wonder about, Nietzsche says, I actually do wonder about conspiracies. From some stories I've heard, what if government are protecting Bigfoot? If humanity is broadly aware of Bigfoot's existence, people might claim it. The interesting thing, yeah, a national security threat. This is one of the interesting things. There was a guy, I didn't write the information down, so I'd have to go looking for it. There was a guy who was a Bigfoot hunter, collected a whole bunch of evidence, found out that the FBI will do genetic testing if you ask, send a bunch of stuff off to the FBI for genetic testing, and surprise, surprise, they sent back the results saying that was a bear. Oh no, it wasn't. Oh, hair samples that he'd gotten from after, find a sighting, go check the area. That the footprints were and the hair samples were all from bears. But surprise, surprise, they lost the samples and couldn't return them. And it's like, this makes absolutely no sense. This makes absolutely no sense, because why would the FBI even be willing to look at this? It's like, but this was also back when genetic testing took months and months and months back then, and was done by a completely different process. I don't know what would happen if somebody went, maybe somebody's got some DNA for some Bigfoot fur kicking around, and send it to 23andMe and see what they can do with it. I don't know. Oh, and here's the other one. This is the Russian Bigfoot. You guys want to see? The Russian Bigfoot only exists. Let me see. Okay, while Lisa's looking for that, I'm going to read some comments.
Is it Zana? I've got it up.
Yeah, Zana. Okay, the one on the left is a drawing of Zana. Now, she was captured by hunters near a Russian village back in 18-something. They captured her. They brought her back. Basically, they described her as 8.5 feet tall. No, 6.5 feet tall. Very, very tall. Taller than she should have been. Completely covered in reddish fur from head to toe. Strange face. Very strange face. This is the drawing of her. And she had thick, wiry hair that then went around into a mane that went down her back. And they reported on this. So, oh, hi, Mark. Who else has come in? Anyway, hi, everybody, again. I'm going to say hi every 5 minutes, because I'm really bad at saying hello. I'm bad at saying goodbye. I'm horrible that way, guys, but you guys know that about me, so it's fine. Okay, so the one on the right is Zana. The one on the left, I'll tell you the story, and you'll understand why the one on the left is important. Basically, so Zana is in a Russian village. She's an adult female. This is like in the middle of nowhere. So we're not talking like hugely educated people who they know that she's not human. They don't know quite what she is, right? So anyway, one thing leads to another, and they find out that Zana likes to get drunk, and when Zana likes to get drunk, she gets sexually aggressive. So one thing leads to another, and by the time by the time our story ends, she's had 6 kids. 2 of which, the first 2, they were letting her, once she started getting fed, she just hung around the village.
So we're still not clear. Is the one that looks more like a photograph of a person, is that Zana?
No. The one on the right with the funny nose, that's Zana. The one on the left isn't the one. I'm sorry. I'm doing my left, right.
Your left, right, backwards.
I'm getting my left, right, backwards, guys. The one on the left is Zana. The one on the left with the one on the left with the almost deformed looking nose is Zana. The one on the right is an African American woman, because what happened was, and we'll get a. I think I want to get a little bit more into the story. So if you guys are okay with this, so, and we're talking 1800s. So as much whatever our opinions are on morals and morality, she had 6 kids. The first two kids, they basically died of hypothermia because she refused to wear clothes, she refused to come indoors, she lived out of doors. Oh, you looking it up?
Oh shoot!
Yeah, no, I'm watching you.
I keep forgetting I can't.
Okay.
Do that.
Okay. So basically, and this story has people that, this particular story has people who are on both sides of the fence where this one's concerned. So then you've got, the person on the right's a completely average person, okay? So basically, years and years later, after she's passed away, she's got kids, which we'll go into separately in a minute. They find she has some kids who grow up, and one of her kids, like, her kids died in like the 40s. So they didn't. So basically, finally, word gets out. People get talking. The scientific types come in. They exhume the grave. They find her, and they get her son's skull, because he has also passed away. And when they DNA test her, the DNA comes back as sub-Saharan Africa. That's where her DNA traces to. But where the argument comes in is that sub-Saharan African DNA is also found in, what were they saying it was found in other supposed samples. So I'm trying to remember. You know what? I'm just gonna drop that line. Basically, so now the story is, oh well, she was an escaped African slave, and people didn't recognize her because she was a black woman, and this is what they did to her. But sub-Saharan, tracing a lineage back to sub-Saharan Africa, the genetics for sub-Saharan Africa can trace back millions of years. So it's like if Zana's ancestors came out of Africa 100,000 years ago, they're not going to look like an African American woman, or rather an African woman, not African American, an African woman, 100% sub-Saharan African. So now they're accusing these people of going, oh, you guys just captured an escaped slave and were horrible to her and forced her to have kids. And the people that were there at the time that had seen her were like, no, she didn't look like that. And they're telling them she did not look human. She had a mane. Oh, she was deformed then. So you guys, so now where the story is going, and I know that this is like, where the story goes and where the skeptics go is, you guys captured an escaped slave. Here's the problem. This person lived out of doors, refused to come inside, and refused to wear clothes. If she were an African person who had somehow found their way to the Siberian wilderness, she would have died. She wouldn't have survived, because she wouldn't have been able to survive. Every single report that they have on, and they had a lot of reports because a lot of people, she had kids. Her kids were raised in the community. They knew who she was. Her kids.
Are there pictures of her kids?
There's a picture of her one son in the one article. Anyway, so this is where this gets its supporters and its detractors. The people who are saying that she was a Bigfoot, basically what they're pointing out is that primates, there is evidence of sub-Saharan DNA in like Neanderthals and other types of proto-humans that have emigrated away from Africa 100,000, 200,000 years ago. So they're pointing at the fact that finding that one particular DNA isn't proof of this person's current status. I don't know how to describe that. Like, if like you can do DNA like, okay, like the original Lucy, her DNA is like in all of us, and she'd look, yeah, that's her son. But when they exhumed his skull is not, his skull has no resemblance to an African. That's his skull because he passed away. They exhumed his skull, but the front of the skull is more simian, with the heavy around the eyes and stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, time nexus, and we just lost our hair in what, 800,000 years ago ish. It would make sense that there's a different type of similar species or old version of humans. This is the thing, and this is the argument, is like, somebody can, if this was a Bigfoot, if this was a humanoid type species that emigrated, that left Africa 800,000 years ago, they're still going to have sub-Saharan DNA, but they're not going to look like an African anymore. They're not going to look African, period. And this is the argument. So you've got your one argument that is trying to rewrite the history of the region and say, no, she was an escaped slave that was abused by her captors. And everybody else is saying, how is an escaped slave going to survive living outdoors in Siberia? You don't survive those kind of lifestyles unless you're literally born to it. So there's the argument. Mark Victor says, yes, they were. If you look at current modern humans, like Northern Europeans carry like 4% Neanderthal DNA. Cro-Magnon were more hairy. If you take a look at the progression of all the different things that we were before we became Homo sapien, you'll find more and more and more and more hair. So if you take a species, yeah. So anyway, I don't know what to believe about that. I kind of babbled to Lisa about this too. I kind of went, well, I just don't see. If you talk to anybody who lives a relatively rural lifestyle, and I don't know how to explain this. I know Donna's still here, so I know Donna understands what I mean. Anybody who lives a relatively rural lifestyle knows if you show them a silhouette of something, they're not going to necessarily, if Zana was a human, they'd have known it. Even if she looked different, even if she had deformities, even if she was an escaped slave that happened to be really hairy for some reason, they would have known that they were looking at a human. They would have known by her behavior, by her attempting to speak. Zana had no speech, did not speak, period, could not speak. 6'6", learned to do simple chores like go to the mill and bring back a bag of flour that weighed 80 pounds, and she would just carry one in each hand like it was nothing. There's too much evidence that they knew that they were not dealing with a stereotypical proper human being. There's also evidence where villagers in these types of areas find a deformed human and immediately recognize that it's a human being because they can tell. I saw a picture once of somebody trying to claim that they'd found a Bigfoot, and even me with my next to nothing experience, city girl here, knew that it was a bear. Knew that it was a bear that had been that something had lost some of its fur. So. Yeah, Dustin just said it reminds him of the Texas UFO crash where they buried the alien back in like the 1800s. This is the kind of shit that happens. This was the 1800s, but you cannot tell me that in the 1800s, people that are used to killing their own food would have a confusion about whether or not this was a human. They would be more likely to say that she was a human than to say she was anything else, no matter how she looked. And they said she was not a human. They tried their best to treat her like one, but they couldn't because she was simply incapable of a large variety of human behaviors, including not being willing to wear clothes, not being willing to stay inside, completely covered with fur. And they found her as an adult wandering around the woods. She had obviously been able to stay alive without human intervention until they found her. So yeah, I mean, I feel kind of sorry for how she ended up because one of the biggest games was to get her drunk and then have sex with her. So yeah, according to the report, they were willing, but they seized they had to take all of her kids the minute they were born. That guy was raised in the village and he had anger issues. He was very, very tall. He was extremely strong, way stronger than he should have been. His intelligence was, apparently he had language difficulties, and I'm not quite sure what else they were saying, but he was apparently he got married and had kids, so there was that. But yeah. Yeah, I never heard of this story. Marg says she never heard this. I never heard of this story either until earlier this week, because, we pick a topic and it's like, well, let's see if there's anything new, and it's like, whoa, where the hell did this come from? But this is not the first. This is not the first story that exists like this of hybrids, and I think this is another reason why people are scared of actually. Like, I mean, what happens if we find a species that can hybridize with us? Because we didn't think Neanderthals could until like 30 years ago, and even 30 years ago it was speculative until DNA testing proved it.
I've got a comment to put up. Hold on one
Ooh,
second.
there's a comment.
I'm putting it up under your account.
Yes, this is what I was looking for. Thankfully to the discovery of her youngest son, modern-day geneticists were able to identify Xana's DNA. Xana has 100%. I clicked the thing. Has 100% ancient African DNA. No modern human possesses this ancient strain. But the people that were like, she's an escaped slave, those people were like, oh, no, that can't be true. So they just refused to believe it. Whereas the people that are going, yeah, she's a Bigfoot, are like, there's no modern Africans have this DNA. They have something else. Because it's all in. There's so many different areas of Africa, and there's regions of Africa that can be identified genetically, and nobody is 100% pure of any one strain anymore. Like going back a couple 100,000 years. But anyway, I digress. Thanks for finding that, hon.
You bet. This
is why we're doing this, by the way, guys, so that as things come up, she can look it up. We have like music going in the background. It's so quiet because, Yeah, time nexus. Well, if you think of it, it's probably a very primal version of the species. I mean, there could be a stereotype, but if they live in remote areas, it would likely be for survival. Molly says, is a Yeti different than a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch? Now, Bigfoot and Sasquatch are associated with North America. A Yeti is associated with the Himalayas. Yeren is associated with China. This particular Bigfoot this particular Zana is apparently associated with the Chinese Yeren, based on descriptions. My belief is that there are multiples out there. We had a period in our history, in our like long-term history, we had a period lasting for like 1 million years where there could be like any number of intelligent humanoid species, and I'm not talking primates, I'm talking intelligent tool builders. Cro-Magnon was a precursor to humans. Neanderthal is a precursor to humans. Denisovian is a precursor to humans. There is a precursor species in Australia that they just haven't discovered yet. And these are species that existed prior to Homo sapiens that have proven to intermix with Homo sapiens. So, and then there's the other species that just simply didn't. We've got entire species that we've identified them based on a single finger bone. We have no fucking idea what they look like. And we don't know if they're still around or not. Hi, what? She waves her hand in the air. It's kind of cool.
There is, the FBI released their file on Bigfoot in June of this year. So
oh!
It's now public record.
Oh! I did not know that. You found, okay, I spent the week, I spent the week on this, guys. I spent the fucking week on this, and you just, boom, find it.
So they have tested hair and tissue, I believe it was, or at least hair.
Oh, is this the 1970s some odd one?
This is the 70s report, but it's now a matter of public record.
Yeah, because it says it was a bear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the one that says bear, and yet the samples themselves have disappeared.
Cover up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely a cover up. I will tell you right now, if they find a living, breathing Bigfoot, and it turns out to have measurable intelligence on par with a Cro-Magnon or a Neanderthal, they are gonna throw that in the cell next to fucking ET, and they're not gonna admit that they've got it until they have just yeah. If you can link that one.
Yeah. Let me put up the link here.
They have acknowledged that they've done studies, but I don't think there's any reports yet that acknowledge that they believe they exist. Oh, there you go. She linked it. I don't think it would be terrifying, Erica. I think, yeah, Erica says, I agree because that would be terrifying. I think, yeah, Homo erectus, who immigrated out of Africa. Yeah, a lot of species could have descended from Homo erectus. Don't forget, some of the Bigfoot theories are that Bigfoot in North America got here through the same land bridge that the first humans did, came over at the same time. And there's evidence now, and this is where it gets weird, because there's evidence now that they're finally willing to acknowledge that Neanderthals and humans not only intermingled, obviously, because we've got Neanderthal DNA, but that they traded and had active communities. These are not just one-offs that happen to make it into the food chain. We're talking like, a mutually respectful exchange here. But I do think that anything that you're going to find about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, urine, no matter where you are or no matter what you find, I think you're going to find a certain degree of aggression and unwillingness to be around. I think they just want nothing to do with us. I don't think it's fear. But I mean, if you got something that's 12 feet tall and can snap a tree like it's nothing. So is this saying anything?
I'm just looking as I'm scrolling through for everybody else to see too. It's just talking about how there's been a request for the hair to be. I think this is the whole file. So I'm just slowly scrolling through.
Taro Catmoon. Sorry she missed the first part. That she majored in, I'm sorry, I'm assuming genders here, and I shouldn't. I majored in anthropology and had a specific interest in human evolution. I'm just going over stuff that I think matters. I think explains some things. I don't know where the facts are. If you have a chance to start from the beginning, you'll find a photo of a cast showing a cripple-footed Bigfoot and how and why that can't have been a hoax. But Lisa's already ready to share that link. We can always leave a post after this as well. I don't know if I want to leave it in the description or leave an actual comment of my own with some of these links for you guys if you want them. But yeah, so that's that.
Here it is here. Oh.
It was yeah, for Taro Catmoon. We discussed it earlier in the video, and Lisa put up a photo, but no link yet.
I'm gonna put it up again.
We'll try and this is my second video ever. We're still trying to remember what links to save and what links to share and stuff like that. But yeah, we can if Lisa can get to it, she'll save it. But yeah, like I think part of the problem is that one of the researcher dudes basically said that if you find an area with annual rainfall above 15 inches or something like that, so relatively rainforesty, anything from rainforest to swamps, you're going to find a really high percentage of Bigfoot sightings, which makes sense if you're going to want to be near water so you don't die of thirst. But yeah, no, it's really what I find really interesting is just how global the reports are and who's making the reports. We're talking people like some of these reports go back to like the 1800s, the 1700s. There is like not a native community in North America that does not have Bigfoot stories. And those stories have been in the community since long before white men. Talking about wild men or the ancient men or the giant men. And yet virtually all of these stories have a lot of similarities to them. They might have different color fur, but they're all large. Like this whole idea of giants, I think there's definitely a link there. Which is I think where things get a little strange is because people like to make one conspiracy connect to the next to connect to the next. And I think sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And it doesn't actually. Yeah, a high amount of animals would flock to water. And honestly, I mean, this is where humans have lived too. We live in the desert because you employ a shit ton of technology to do it. But before we had before we built the Hoover Dam, like Las Vegas would have just been a leftover from a different age, and would like a lot of the inhospitable places that we live would not exist without our modern technology. You would have communities of like 30 or 40 people willing to live there, not like a city of 1 million people. And I think that's, yeah, definitely bipedal looks, that makes a lot of sense. I live in Oregon and those feet look huge, way too big to be modern human, definitely bipedal. Something else that we pointed out earlier in the video as well, Tarot Cat, is that the shape of the heel bone, the shape of the foot and the arrangement of the bones doesn't exist in human beings. Human beings don't have that shape of a foot. And most of the tracks, well, not most of, but a huge percentage of the tracks, depending on what material they're walking on, because of the way they track, because of the way their foot moves, they leave an impression that a human foot can't make, because we walk like this and they walk like this.
There's also that mid-carpal break that they talk about, where the way that they walk, they lift their back part of their foot way, way, way up, whereas people can't do that. And
well, the way that we walk is we walk like this,
like a pendulum sway.
Well, and our break, the part of our foot that allows the back part of the foot to move is all towards the heel, and theirs is more forward, so it affects how they track. Yeah, they have an elongated and rounded heel bone. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I obviously, obviously anybody who's watching this has got an interest in the topic, but I don't know. All I really cycle back to is that we had historically we have had multiple species of humanoid intelligence living and cohabitating at the same time, interbreeding, intermixing for one reason or another, and it's only been since oh yeah, Tarot Cat, that particular that's the crippled foot cast, and it's really famous in the Bigfoot circles because it shows that the foot is deformed or injured. You should probably find, if you can find that, but that's a really long video. Look up that guy and see if some of it's short. See if there's a shorter clip.
Which one?
That when we were watching the I forget his name.
The second guy or the first guy? The more credible guy?
the less credible guy has better videos. But
let's see what I can find.
Yeah, did we talk about this? Jamie Kelly says, did we talk about this? Sasquatch is from an adaptation of the Halkomelem tribes in BC, coined by a Canadian journalist who wrote about Bigfoot in the 1920s. I did not mention that, and thank you for mentioning it. Oh, okay, so a toe length deformity as well, so that makes sense. One of the theories about that particular cast is that there was an injury. So I really don't know what that would be expecting. The one toe was pushed up, and that maybe there'd been a break or something, but I don't know. But it's only been since Neanderthals died out that we are assuming that we now live in a world where we are the only intelligent species. But we also have evidence that Neanderthals may have still been around as much as 10,000 years ago. And I think there was somebody who says he has a theory that it's even more recent. So it's like, if we just finally superseded all these other intelligent species, then what happens to the ones that we aren't sharing habitat with? Because we are not sharing the Siberian fucking tundra or the mid Rockies in the some of the most volatile areas. Like you know, we're talking the steep, dangerous valleys between mountain ranges. Like, so we aren't in those habitats. We aren't there. How did we drive out? Is that it?
Yeah, this is the trailer. There's a couple little flashes from his footage in here.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just kind of rolling it in the background.
Yeah, this particular guy is personally problematic, but he has what he has got some amazing footage, and if it's real, then I don't know why nobody's believing him. You might be able to look up just the footage.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find.
Anyway, but I don't see how. So our archaeologists say that, oh, we gradually superseded all these species and they died out. But how can we supersede a species and cause it to die out in habitat we don't share? That's what my whole argument hinges on. It's like, it makes no sense to assume that we are the only intelligent species. It makes no sense to assume that intelligent has to look like us or act like us. We already know that gorillas are intelligent, and they've been taught sign language. They can actually communicate with us, and we know this now. Coco, look up Coco the gorilla. My God. Carol Cat. That's exactly what this person's argument was. That has those casts. You'd have to be a podiatrist to know this, because some Joe Schmuck clumping around the woods is not going to think to make a fake foot that looks like that. See, that's not a very good one. There's better ones near the end of his video.
Give it a second.
Okay. Who is this guy again?
Todd Standing.
This guy's name is Todd Standing.
He's super unbelievable as a person, though.
He's a Canadian. He lives.
This problem.
He's a Canadian. He spends a little bit too much time in the woods. He's a Canadian who lives in BC, up in the north. He goes out into the woods regularly looking for evidence of Bigfoot.
If that's real, like, come on.
That one, yeah. This is the kind of stuff he comes out of the woods with. He's not going to the zoo and getting a picture of a gorilla, and if you see him, he's probably not smart enough to photo edit and make it look real either. This guy is going into the woods up in northern BC and coming back with this regularly.
This is the one that blinks.
Yeah, this one here, and this looks like the same one.
There it is. Did you see the blink?
Did you see the blink, guys? Yeah, it shows it again. But this is what this guy gets pictures of. Now, I'm looking at...
It looks like a Chewbacca mask.
It's hard to say.
Word.
I mean, honestly, the only thing that I will say to defend this guy, because this guy is like a little strange, the only thing I will say to defend this guy is that he doesn't look like the kind of guy that would have the resources to fake it. But he's also doesn't look like the kind of guy that you want to trust going off in the woods with them either. So I don't know. But Bigfoot scares the crap out of Erica. Why does Bigfoot scare the crap out of you? See, I think we're going to find, I think that we're going to find something. They're intelligent, but so are mountain gorillas. That doesn't mean they're on par with humans. I think you're going to find, just like gorillas and chimps, I think you're going to find some are more violent than others. The majority of them just want to be left alone. They just don't want to be around humans. One thing that's really, it's like, I don't know. I keep saying, I don't know. I mean, I know what I believe, and I do believe that Bigfoot is real. I also believe, and this is what I said last week, all of the hype, all of the drama, all of the hoaxes, all of the lunatic fringe latching onto this makes it impossible for anybody to take it for credible science to take it seriously without being attached to the less credible aspect of it. So, what did Dustin say?
He said, anybody else fascinated by the bookmarks bar on your browser? So I hit it.
You're so mean. Dustin, you're mean.
I thought I found some footage here, but maybe not.
I didn't even have porn up. So, like, why do you care about my links?
Do you have porn bookmark, babe?
No.
Oh.
My Singer files, though, I still cannot get over this to this day. I sew, and I've got an embroidery machine over there, and it's a little Singer embroidery machine. The Singer files are .xxx. It's like, really, that is probably the reason why nobody wants to use a Singer machine, because they don't want XXX files on their fucking computer. But anyway, I digress. Okay. Yeah, I think they just want to be left alone. I think that they have their habitat, we have ours, and they just don't want anything to do with us. That's what Molly said. I'm sorry. Molly says, but seriously, if they want to be left alone, I say let them live in peace. I think the problem is that, okay, look, now, how do I say it? You know what? I don't say it politely. Native communities have reserves where they have their own policing, their own this, their own that. Absolutely perfect and wonderful. Oh, she's over there shaking her head, thinking I'm going to say something ignorant now. I'm not saying anything.
Reserves are perfect and wonderful. Just move along.
Okay, yeah, I have no. That's honestly, they're distinct communities, and they deserve a distinct status. So then we find proof of a Bigfoot, and we find out that they're on par with a Neanderthal. So they're not animals, but they're not human. So now, how do we create a protective reserve for them in a way that makes sense, in a way that can be managed, and at the expense of, don't forget, everybody owns something nowadays. So what happens if somebody comes to your house and says, well, we've just discovered that you're living in the middle of a Bigfoot habitat. You need to get out because we want to create a reserve to protect them. This gets problematic because it gets problematic. So I think the bigger issue is if they turn out to be an animal that looks like us, that's a bit of a problem ethically. If they turn out to be a humanoid that looks a little animalistic, that's a problem for us ethically. And I think the reason why so many people do not want to believe in the possibility, in spite of all the evidence, is because of the ethical dilemma a far too human animal or humanoid or proto-human would represent to our society. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense or not. I think I said a lot of that just asked backwards right now, but yeah, Molly says, yeah, down with the reserves. Unless they are actively stalking us, I don't see why we need to take any action. Donna says, humans would try to humanize them just like we did with the Native Americans. We took their language, their culture, and tried to paint them white. We suck. That's the problem. That's kind of what I'm looking at. It's like we did this badly when okay, a lot of the Bigfoot stuff comes from North America. Other places they don't report on it the same. They do it differently. Like you've got the Yeren in China. They're not. It's not hitting popular media because it's the Chinese government and they're going to do what they're going to do, and we don't have access to that. Yeti in the Himalayas. That is. I'm not even sure what their economic status is right now, but when I grew up, it was considered a third world country. So they didn't have the infrastructure to even begin to think about this, and they were mostly wilderness anyway. But when you come into a country like North America, when our history in North America has been about European expansion, and we did it badly. What are we going to do as a society now if we discover an intelligent ape? And I do think that really, really, really drives a lot of the thinking. The ethical dilemma around actually proving that Bigfoot is real is enormous. It's a massive dilemma. Even only if it turns out to be a very, very, very much of a primate / ape. Anything less than it being and it has to be a very, very stupid ape. It cannot even be as smart as a gorilla, or we're going to have an ethical dilemma, which is weird, but it's true. I think it's true. I don't think we are prepared for any. If we were just discovering gorillas now, I think the way we treat them would be completely different than the way we currently treat them, because our thought processes around gorillas has been evolving for 100 years. I think if we discovered gorillas tomorrow, we'd be like, oh, we need to evaluate their intelligence before we can do anything, and we need to keep everybody away from them. I think it will be a panic-driven process. Yeah, we can't keep ourselves to ourselves. Yeah, Donna says, our friend who reported seeing Sasquatch back in the early 80s saw it less than a mile from my farm. If we captured one on our trail cams, I wouldn't know what to do with my life. I wouldn't know what to do either. I mean, people can talk about it, but Oh, Erica, I did not. I watched part of Missing 411, but I really didn't have time to watch much of it. I think there was the one picture that I saw was on a trail cam, and it was a very strange looking creature. And they're like, okay, this is a Bigfoot holding a baby, and they literally drew around it and said, no, this is a bear. And it's like, this is the most deformed bear I've ever seen. I don't know. Ooh, what you found this time, honey?
I'm just rolling footage that I find here and there of little clips.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. Erica says, raw spirit says, I would move. That's what I would do. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, well, we live in the city. I would be like, nope, just noping the fuck out of there. I don't know what I would do. I think it would be the most amazing discovery in the history of ever. And I think that it's about time. I have been of the opinion for the last 20 years is that they need to just apply some credible science to this shit and find out the truth once and for all, and be actually willing to admit what the truth is. Ooh, what's that one?
That's just the end of the same.
Oh, okay. Ooh, wow, a mountain lion. We have cougars around here, believe it or not. Cougars and coyotes, and we're like right in the lower mainland the lower mainland of BC is growing up so rapidly that we're just expanding. We're expanding into all kinds of shit. We have the one park that we take the dogs to has a family of bears that live there. We have a gully that runs right behind the building here, and there's coyotes and the occasional owl. We live just down the we used to live just down the street, and our landlord comes knocking the one day and says, "Oh, just so you know, there was a not a a cougar."
Okay.
In the laying basically up on our fence, looking into our yard. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think we have bobcats around here. But we're living in an apartment building. We got nothing that's going to want to get in. There was a lady like a couple of miles down the road here. Bear tried to get into her backyard, get in through her back door, looking for some food. It's like we get this. It's kind of this weird mix here. What you doing? There's a comment. Oh yeah, tree structures people report.
Yeah, because Erica brought that up.
Yeah, apparently they like to take trees and like stack them all up on each other, and nobody knows what that's all about. But it's really common, and yeah, they basically when you take a look at them, you kind of realize that the only way you can actually stack these up is if you're like 8 to 10 feet tall. It's like it's pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, that's it. We have to. You know what we have to do? We have to elect Donna as our conspiracy leader, and then get her a decent trail cam, and then just ring your house, and we'll just throw out bait. Apparently they like apples. Yeah, see, those wonders are playing pickup sticks. Well, you know what? Any sort of like monkeys and all the primate species are known to do weird stuff like that just to play when they're bored. Which is something that only really like all animals will play when they're bored, but it's really, really, really common in higher intelligence animals. There you go, Molly. Molly says she wonders. She loves apples. She wonders if she's a mini foot. There's been people that are reporting regular contact. Some of them are reporting that they eat meat, and some of them are reporting that they eat fruit and vegetables. So I think once they pull the first one out of the woods, everybody's going to take it seriously. Serious investigation is going to happen, and I think they're going to go into the woods and they're going to find a Gigantopithecus blackie, and they are going to pull that sucker out of the woods, and then in short order, boom, 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 they are going to be all over the woods, and they're going to probably pull out 5 or 6 different types of humanoid of hominid that have been reported as Bigfoot or Sasquatch, skunk ape, Yeti, and I think they're just going to start dragging once they decide that it's real, because they did this with the coelacanth, and this they will have to kill one to prove it. I don't think anybody's willing to shoot one. I think that's part of it too. I think the opportunities existed, and they've just been not willing to do anything with that. If anybody's heard the coelacanth, which is a fish, prehistoric fish that went extinct 35 million years ago, until they pulled one out alive, and finally the scientists had to go, oh, I guess they are real, after being told by native fishermen for decades that they were real. The fisherman comes in and says, oh, I got a weird fish today, but I threw it back. Oh, what was it? It looks like this. Oh, that can't be what you found. Oh, okay. Finally and now that they know that they're real, they have pulled in like dozens of them. Now they know that they're real. They know they're alive. They've dropped cameras down to their habitat depth. I think that's exactly what's going to happen with Bigfoot. Once they prove the first one, everybody's actually going to sit up, pay attention, and admit to the rest of them. Ooh, Bigfoot sightings. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Kim J. Okay. Nichu says, I've heard some say that they don't find bodies because Bigfoot berries are dead, and some said they place a large boulder over the grave. I think you know what? It's entirely possible that they engage in cannibalism. There are entire species that do that.
Why no bones though? I don't get that.
It's hard to say. If they bury their dead, then there's not going to be any bones to be found. But here's the thing, you're not going to find the bones if you're not looking for them. You're not going to find the bones if you're not looking. And if the bones are very, very close to being human, you might not even recognize what you're seeing. Oh, we found some human bones and reinterred them somewhere else. So we don't know. And yeah, Kim J, one big problem is serious scientists are too afraid to speak up and risk their reputations. The funny thing is, some of the top Bigfoot researchers now are reputable researchers that used to do this as a bit of a hobby, and now that they're retiring, they're putting their reputations have nowhere to go. So now they're taking it seriously. I don't know. I think they're gonna prove it. I think this is one that they are gonna prove that Bigfoot exists. I don't think there's any way for them to not. Honestly, I don't think it's possible. I'm just looking over at Lisa like, look up and tell me I'm pretty. Tell me I'm right, guys. Honestly, Molly says, how are many are in a colony community, though? My biggest issue is population control. How are they not breeding a lot? In the gorilla population, they don't really breed a lot. A female may breed once every 3 or 4 years. So they can have.
That's true.
They can have large communities of 200 or 300. And if they're living in areas where humans just don't go, we wouldn't know that they're there. There are what did they find recently? And they were absolutely surprised that they hadn't found it before now, because it was a relatively large population of something, and they congregated at night, but because they were congregating in areas that people didn't go, they just never thought to look there. And if you're intelligent enough, a lot of the people that are reporting frequent, regular contact are reporting that they have lookouts and stuff. So if they don't want anything to do with humans and they just quietly get out of the way when you're coming, if your entire community is willing to get the fuck out of the way, doesn't leave behind houses and fires and all that stuff, they can just be out of your way and let you move along, no problem. Oh, it was bears. Was it bears or was it? I think maybe it was wolves. Wolves form. There was one species that's relatively stay relatively solitary, but they discovered that the juveniles tend to form into large groups, and in those large groups, they can be like 40 or 50, and nobody realized that they were doing it because they just simply.
You're coughing on your audience.
I'm coughing on everybody.
Erica, stop zooming out his scary ass face.
I think this one's really interesting because
No, I'm just trolling Erica. What's this about a new show? Did you see Kim J's comment, babe?
I have not. I didn't know anything about a new show. Basically, what we're doing is picking a topic out of a hat, and then I just spend the week looking it up. I've been into this stuff for years and years and years. So, and all the conspiracies all the time. Because I think the entire topic is just fascinating as a thing. So I had no idea. If you have a link or have information, please share it. I'm trying not to die. Yes, please link. Please link. And you know what, guys? Don't forget, the invitation is always there to keep the conversation going. Link in the comments afterwards. Keep the discussion going. I mean, I think it's really important to just keep. I think these discussions are important because I think a change in public outlook will change the pressure. It will change the scientific community's willingness to take this stuff seriously. And hi, Topaz, Tarot, and T. Yes, please link. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just really important to have these conversations and have these conversations in a sane and rational way. It's okay to believe. Okay, well, what if Bigfoot? Okay, something that came up earlier on is that there's some people believe that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being. It's like, okay, let's assume let's not ridicule every idea out of hand. So let's just say, okay, well, if that possibility exists, let's start with the baby step of proving that it exists, right? So let's have the rational discussions that say, okay, well, the conspiracy theories and the possibilities and the different things that people believe is virtually endless. So let's just put on our big boy scientific pants and get out there and actually prove it or disprove it definitively. Not just this, oh, that has to be a bear. Oh, that has to be an escaped slave. Oh, that's not possible. That person just suffers deformities. You can't do that. You cannot have thousands and thousands and thousands of sightings, hundreds of years of native lore, thousands of different cultures, countries, regions, areas believing in this, reporting on this, pictures, videos, recordings, eyewitness. You cannot have all this shit and then just still go, oh no, all those millions of people are deluded. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. So find out what the fuck, find out what, go take it seriously, go get one, find out what the fuck they are. And then maybe we could, and then if there's something to, what if they are interdimensional beings? Don't just go straight. There you go. There's a friendlier Sasquatch. But I don't know. I think, yeah, now that everyone is connected with everyone in the world and people can share info and homemade videos, we will be able to find truth about a lot of things. I think part of the problem, and that's what Time Nexus mentioned, I think part of the problem with that Time Nexus is that people can also perpetuate hoaxes, create fake videos. They can use social media as a platform to belittle and ridicule. I think it just needs. I mean, I think that we need to start shouting those people down instead of shouting down the serious scientists who want to look into this. It's an expedition Bigfoot on the Travel Channel. Oh my God, I would love nothing better. Pull a Bigfoot out of the woods. Get it to sit down. I'll tell you right now, though. I can tell you right now that if they could spend, somebody could set up cameras, attract in an entire family of them, spend the week filming them, measuring them, doing everything they want, and people will still say it's a fucking hoax. Until the actual official government channels admit that it's real, there are still going to be people that are going to say it's crap. So I mean, that's how bad the ridicule and stuff gets about these topics. And I think it's just too bad because I think there's a whole lot of stuff going on that we could definitely, I don't know. I think it's just crap. Yeah. It's easy to make fake videos. The good news is that the people that are more and more people are willing to start talking about this stuff in a more serious tone. So the people that are making the fake videos are getting outed quicker, are getting basically kicked to the curb quicker. Even those guys back in even the Gimlin video happened in the 50s, by the 70s, all these people were claiming to be involved and that it was a big old hoax. And yet now they're like, yeah, we've proved that those guys that claimed that it was a hoax, that was the hoax. Whatever, if there was something fishy going on with the Gimlin video, these people that claimed to be involved couldn't have been involved at all, even a little bit. So we'll see. Yeah, Expedition Bigfoot on the Travel Channel. I gotta go look at that. Wow, Sunshine Dawn. I saw a Bigfoot in my backyard in 1972 in North Yarmouth, Maine, USA. Maine is an area that is. There's a name for them in Maine, in the Northeast there. I forget what the name is. Nothing strange, but there's a separate name that people use up there. I can't remember what it was. I would love it, So we got Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and Yeti, and I would love to see in the comments afterward, what do they call Bigfoot in your neck of the woods? But yeah, I think the Patterson Gimlin video is real because there's too many aspects of the way it's moving. Costuming was not that good back then, and it doesn't look like a costume. What little bit of it looks like a costume is offset by the parts of it that don't look like a costume. Like the last few footsteps it takes before it moves out of the foot, you're seeing the bottom of its foot. Costumes didn't look like that. The costumes just ended and you had your shoes on. So it's like, this makes no sense. But yeah, Missouri calls them Momo, skunk apes, swamp ape. Apparently Apparently, the skunk apes that are reported from Florida are much smaller. They're like only 5 to 6 feet tall, and they spend a lot of their times apparently up in the trees. And did you know? And this is yeah, looked at me and went back in the woods. It's too bad you couldn't have got a picture. So what? So if you don't mind, sunshine, are we talking like massive? Like what kind of details were really obvious about this? I don't know how to say that right, but like a lot of people that don't get a chance to take a lot of people report like the face looks like a cross between a human and an ape, that they stand fairly straight, totally covered in fur, not like the bare chest that a gorilla has, stuff like that. Like, I mean, were you able to see any of that sort of stuff? No, I'm interviewing somebody. I'm interviewing Sunshine Dawn. Yeah, that's in the Patterson Gimlin video. And if you look, this is the interesting thing because they wouldn't, I mean, I don't think anybody in the 50s would have thought to do this, but if you look at the chest, you can see it's a female. Like, why would somebody go through the extra trouble of making their fake Bigfoot a female? It makes no sense. Yeah, look like an ape and a human, very tall. That's what a lot of people talk about. I think the biggest question is going to be whether I think the biggest question is going to be what kind of levels of intelligence are they bringing to the table. I mean, if you've got a relatively like okay, let's take a vegetarian population of human beings. This is not too far fetched. Take a population of vegetarian human beings and now stick them in an area that is near the equator, that's temperate, that's warm year round. And then you take that group of people, and what do they really need to survive? They don't need clothes, they don't need fire, they don't eat meat. And you put them in an area where there's not a lot of predators. They don't need shelter. All they need is maybe a tree to stand under if it's raining. This is why some of the jungle tribes in like the Amazon and whatnot haven't been found yet, is because they need so little. They leave almost no they leave almost no not carbon footprint. What the hell am I trying to say?
Trace?
Yeah, they leave almost no trace. They get tired, they get tired of an area and move on, and their huts are made of grass and reeds, and they don't need much, so they don't leave anything behind. And what little bit they do leave behind just disintegrates and goes back to nature in as little as a few weeks. So, well, yeah, I think, yeah, we didn't have very good cameras back then, and it was getting dark. I think I was too shocked to even move. I think I would just be like, I wouldn't know what to do. But like, I mean, yeah, leave almost no big giant footprints. Yeah, you never took it. Yeah, Jamie Kelly in 1973 when we were out camping, you didn't carry cameras, and never a thought. No, nobody I knew took cameras camping with them. It would be a very far-fetched idea to even think about it, because waterproof casings didn't exist. Like, I mean, sure, you could get it if you were Jacques Cousteau and we were willing to pay $100,000 for a camera, but no, that stuff. Dustin heard you.
What? Why are you glaring at me?
You called me old.
Dustin called you old. I just agree with him.
Don't agree with him. Words are hard at your age, Mom. It's okay. Jesus Christ, I keep having to Dustin, modern metaphysical man Dustin has his own channel, by the way. Go give him a thumbs down.
Whoa.
No, actually, Dustin has some really cool content, and he has a lot of really, really interesting things to say on sacred geometry. Is something that he has a lot to say on. Yeah, too many leaves in the fall. He's a shaved Yeti. Adore him. But no, I don't know. Like, but let's take a look at the brutal reality of the situation. Okay, so a group of vegetarian humans living in a temperate area would have so few needs that they could live a relatively peaceful lifestyle and attract almost no notice. Now you cover that same peaceful vegetarian human being, and this is, I know that not everybody, I know that not every report of a Bigfoot encounter is peaceful, so I'm not going to play dumb there. But now you take that same humanoid make it a humanoid, make it a Yeti, make it a Sasquatch, cover it in fur. So now it doesn't even need, it can just lay down anywhere and go to sleep. Like, what do bears do at night? They just find a little thing and cuddle up and go to sleep because they're covered in fur. They don't get cold. Bears don't leave a lot of, unless you can find a bear's den, they don't leave a lot of stuff behind. I mean, unless you're like, oh, look, there's some poop. That's a bear. Like, and they don't leave. There's a lot of animals that don't leave a lot behind because they don't need much. So you can be an intelligent animal. You can be an intelligent animal covered in fur, not leaving a lot of evidence behind, if your needs are being met in your environment. Oh my God, what are you people doing? Don't make me make Lisa spend more monies. Oh, Dustin. Oh, Dustin. Yeah, he had the nerve to remind my wife that Black Friday shopping was coming up. And that most of the deals could be found online.
He didn't say all that. He was just talking about his day. I'm very easily impressionable.
My favorite Sasquatch phrasing when Jack Black took magic mushrooms on Tenacious D, the pick of destiny.
We're at like 2 hours, by the way.
Oh my God, guys, we're at 2. I have been babbling at this for like 2 hours. Yeah, he's an evil Bigfoot. Okay, and we still have to decide what next week's topic's going to be.
I didn't prep any of that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, Lisa didn't prep. She was too busy.
Vote.
She was too busy spending money. What did we say we wanted to do? Who wants to do Atlantis next week?
I do.
You guys want to do Atlantis? Yeah, shut up, Dustin. Dustin doesn't get a vote. Whatever Dustin wants, we have to pick something else.
Show off my unicorn phone.
I'm not showing off your unicorn phone.
Dustin wants to see it.
Yeah, Dustin's evil. Okay, guys, what about...
I vote Atlantis.
Donna, yeah, you school that boy. He is a rotten boy.
Oh, Bruno.
My puppy would like some attention now.
Atlantis, Atlantis, Atlantis.
Hi.
Erica wants dog, man. I thought you were afraid. Oh, we got another vote for Atlantis.
Does Atlantis sound like a good one? I have got a really cool thing I can show for Atlantis that I looked up, that I came across not too long ago. I don't think it's I think it's fair. I think it's a fairly new discovery. So vote for Bruno. We could do 2 hours of Bruno. He's a little baby. How you doing, buddy? It's not food time yet. It's like, it's not. Food. Okay, so we can do Atlantis. And don't forget, like this whole Bigfoot thing. If you guys want to do another one that strictly focuses on just like Yeti or the Himalayas or whatever, because there are some of this stuff has so many layers. Like, okay, is Sasquatch an interdimensional being? We can actually do that one time. But yeah, Dogman. You're gonna have to tell me who Dogman is. It's
another supposed beastie.
Okay, we can do Atlantis because there's like a lot of and then we can do it Atlantis, and then we can do the Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda Triangle's freaking crazy shit. Crazy conspiracy out of that. Okay, we'll do Atlantis next. Totes should do Atlantis. Yes. Oh, Bruno is Dogman. Yes, he's my smart little boy. Yeah, don't forget to thumbs up because I'm fucking awesome, and so are you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. There. How you doing? Oh, what are you doing? You can come on over. Come on. I have the other dog just off a camera range going, but I'm pathetic too. I need some pathetic. Yeah. I'm trying to read. I've got my tablet down here, guys. I don't know. We're still experimenting with how we're going to make this. So we might be set up a little bit differently until we get to something that really works. So if you like the way that we were able to pop up the content as we go and stuff like that, like if you got an opinion on that, feel free to speak up, because we want to do something that's comfortable for us, but that also works for you guys. Because what's the point if you guys aren't having fun too? Okay. No, this is not hiding, Bruno. He's right here. He's right here.
I'm talking about the banners. I'm putting up all the goodbye stuff.
Oh, you're hiding, Bruno.
Oblivion.
Come here. What are you doing? You are just being a princess, aren't you? Princess Puppy is over here. Oh, She's like, oh no, there she is. Is she there?
Yeah, she's
There she is.
I like how you're just like using the Quachi as a pillow.
Well, Bruno needs to be comfortable. Bruno is a pain, and if I don't put a pillow beside me and he gets up beside me like this, he is a pain in the butt because he doesn't get comfortable and he won't settle down. Okay, guys, our little house Sasquatch is here. Would like some attention now. So yeah, Ewoks are real. She is such an Ewok. Oh, she is. She's my little Ewok puppy, or a gremlin. Anyway, now I'm just getting all social because I'm done. Okay, so Atlanta's next week. Oh, guys, Atlanta's next week. Thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget to keep the conversation going. Use this space. Don't forget to upvote, or I'll have to hurt people.
Please say goodbye.
No, I'm mostly doing this right now just to mess with Lisa because she's over there giving me such a look. But the dogs need the 5 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go.
5:30 p.m. Pacific time next.
You guys have a great week, and we will see you next Sunday at 5:30. Bye. Hey.